things to do. Yeah, it's a little bit slide heavy because I wanted to make sure that I didn't actually miss anything. But I used to have quite a chaotic marketing style, if the truth be known. It was very much a scattergun approach. I didn't do anything in any logical order. And I definitely didn't do marketing around campaigns. So it was scattergun. And it wasn't focused. So, what I want to talk about is how I've made that shift really, and how I went from, really, really struggling and finding it marketing really heavy to hold in my head to bringing in 44K in sales and saving about 24,000 a year by using agents in a strategic way. Now, you know what it's like. When decisions, you're an entrepreneur, one person business owner, expert, whatever your thing is, but often what happens is that we can get overwhelmed because decisions live in our head. There are just way too many decisions to be able to make in any one business. When every marketing and growth decision relies on your memory, energy, and emotional state, decisions can quickly drop. You can drop the ball very easily. So decisions become slower, choices become slower, you become much more reactive rather than letting it run its course. And you can just basically get stalled. Your momentum can become stalled. Now, the truth of the matter is, as I found out, it isn't a motivation problem. It's not about motivation. It is about structure and the way that you are marketing. It's about having a sequence of steps that you go through. Frank says, apologies, munching. That's absolutely fine, Frank. I assume you're having your lunch.
Breakfast.
Right. Oh, you're late.
Yeah.
And this is how businesses can get derailed. This is how businesses grow. Well, they actually don't grow as fast as they should. They sort of get a little bit stagnant. You can find yourself getting under pressure. As I said, you start reacting to short-term goals and tasks and firefarting. You can fire fart. Fire fart. Stop it. Fighting rather than planning. Oh, here's Lisa again. So, and then what happens is you generally tend to flip flop with your marketing, and it changes as you're doing it because you're not getting the response it is that you feel that you should be getting. So, as I said, what generally tends to happen is the growth stalls, the marketing campaign gets really sticky, and your stress levels ultimately start to rise. Now, more tools aren't going to solve this. More effort isn't going to resolve it either. The issue absolutely is not capacity and your willingness to try and sort it out and to fix it. It is really about getting it into a sequence. So I spoke about at the beginning, making 34,000 in sales. It's actually more than that. It's around, I think it's just over 50. So what happened was I have been running the Vortex Accelerator, which is a membership. It's not a membership. It's a 6 monthly subscription that people buy into, and they renew their subscription to access agents. Now, what happened was a few people dropped off. I think it was about 6 people dropped off all around the same time. And I suddenly thought, oh my God, this is a disaster. I'm going to have to relook at this model. What's going on? And I was just about to can it, throw it in the bin. And because I was reacting emotionally, I wasn't reacting from any logical. That's just me. I'm quite emotional. I wasn't reacting logically. I hadn't analysed the big picture and the overall situation. So I used my CEO agent, Lucas, and I put all the data into Lucas. And he basically said I would be nuts to can it as a service because this is what I'd made during the year. People had dropped over naturally. Now, I didn't like that bit of churn. So what I did is that I offered a lifetime membership. So I think 14 people moved across to lifetime membership. That generated another significant chunk of money, which is over £10,000 now in additional sales. So if I hadn't used that agent strategically to get underneath what was going on, rather than from me behaving emotionally, I would have canned the service, and then I would have had to start all over again. I was just looking in the chat. Hi, I'm transcribing this call with, I don't know what that is. So if that is somebody's transcription, can you turn it off? Please, I don't want this. This is being recorded on my system. I think I don't want it recording on anyone else's system. So if I hadn't used the agent as a thought partner to figure that out and what I'd been doing and analyzing the marketing that I'd been doing, I would have canned the service and I would have lost out big time, because when you, it's not just about the money that was coming in, but I'm also saving on campaigns as well. So I'm keeping a lot more of my money. I'm not spending as much, anywhere near the amount of money that I have been historically, because I'm using the agents as a strategic team. So AI adoption is growing really, really fast now. And I know people in my world would have seen this slide before, so excuse me if I am repeating myself. So we started off with people still being initially curious about AI. Then people shifted into prompting, which I don't personally recommend anyone does. I find it an absolute waste of time and can severely take you off track. But ultimately, that's what people are teaching. Then people started to dabble and create OneGPT, which didn't necessarily do that great of a job, because it's not for agents to work really well. You want to have them in a little bubble, a little ecosystem, so they can connect, talk to one another, and you can get a much thorough, experience of using AI as a ecosystem. So I'm not going into detail about who I am, what I'm about. You can ask ChatGPT. Who is Wendy Keir? Tell me about Empower AI, and then you can ask as many questions as you want about who I am, what I do, what my values are, what my positioning is. Actually, you can just go on forever and ever, and it'll answer. It pretty much knows who I am now, what I'm about, but the good side anyway. But we do specialize in 3 services. So you are in safe hands when I talk about AI. We have the Vortex Accelerator, which is a community of about 65 agents that my clients use. So I've got here as 47. That was last year. So we have grown it since then. We also turn people's books into agentic AI agents, which means that people can have a conversation with a book. So it's like having the author in your pocket. And I also turn people's IP into agents as well. So I'm pretty in depth with AI and agents. Now, the evolution now is that people are creating their own ecosystems. So for me, I have a group of specialist business growth agents that my clients use. So another client, so Marina, who I work with, she has a number of agents so she has an Oracle deck that we've turned into an AI agent. And then she's got 3 other agents that sit within that family. So that's what people are doing now, is they're giving their clients access to agents that I'm not going to go into this, that they can use, but this is how things have progressed. But the fact is, with marketing, is that there's just way too many spinning plates. It's complicated. Marketing doesn't necessarily have natural boundaries unless you contain it and give your campaign very clear boundaries, a very clear beginning, a middle, and an end. Because otherwise, if you don't do that, there will always be things that you think you should be doing. that will weaken the offer, the proposition. It will take you down a bit of a rabbit hole, and you will just expend all of your energy. So, these are just some of the things that you need to think about. Messaging, timing, content, follow-up, visibility, partnerships. That is just the tip of the iceberg. We all know from marketing that depending on which method it is that you're using to market your service, is that, let's just take partnerships, for example. With partnerships, you've got to identify people, you've got to write the partner pack, you've got to decide on the affiliate commission, you've got to decide how you're paying them, you've got to create copy. So each one of these is really complex within its own right. And I think we can sometimes underestimate how much goes into one particular piece of marketing. And then what we end up doing is we end up spreading ourselves just way too thin. So I see a lot of people doing everything, but not necessarily getting the results it is that they want. I'm just going to quickly check to see if there's anyone waiting in the waiting room. No, we're all good. So the real cost when you're marketing, I think, is the mental load. It's switching between different tasks. It's also very cognitively heavy. So what you're doing is really cognitively affecting the brain and the way that you are thinking, because you get so hooked into a campaign and you are switching between multiple roles that you may not necessarily have any experience in. So you're sort of like guessing a little bit as well. That can be very tiring. I don't know about you, but if you've ever done a campaign, I used to be tired at the end of it before I even started the work, before I even started working with clients. I was exhausted. Because I was stepping into so many different roles that I just became energetically tired, really, really, really tired. You might have experienced that as well, that you've done a campaign, you come off the end of it and you're just exhausted. And that's why. It's because you're spinning so many plates in your head. You've stepped into so many roles that your energy is just seeping out all over the place. And what generally happens is that people misdiagnose the problem. They assume that what they're doing is wrong, that the marketing isn't ready, the timing is off, what they're doing isn't landing. Then what happens is, as I said, they start to think, oh, I need to tweak this, I need to tweak that. You become more scattered, you get lost in the trying to change everything, being too deep in it. When you do a campaign, you actually want to stand back. You want to have all the moving parts together, and then you want to let it roll. What you don't want to do is keep getting into the campaign and tweaking things, because that's, as a one-person business owner, that's where you lose all your momentum and all your energy. So basically, you're holding too much responsibility and not enough structure. But you know what? The truth is that we are very good at running our businesses. We are very, very good at what it is that we do. However, there's just so many hats that you've got to wear. And we have a tendency, whether that's due to time, whether it's due to budget, not necessarily having the money to invest in the additional services that you need to outsource to. So we end up just carrying way too much in our head, multiple roles running at the same time. What generally tends to happen is we just DIY everything. Second guess, as I've already said, we just end up DIY and everything, going round in circles and not necessarily focusing in on what it is that we need to focus in on. So this is Narinder, who a number of you will actually know, who is a mindset and resilience coach. She focuses around people who experience significant pain in the body, also an established author. And she really struggled to bring a strategy together that she could rinse and repeat, basically. And what she found was when she had that structure, all of the overwhelm just disappeared, and she could create a campaign that suited her personality and the message it is that she wanted to get across. So the 3 marketing myths. So when marketing feels heavy, most people reach for more effort, as I've repeatedly said, more content, more prompts, more visibility, because that naturally feels logical, because you're trying to solve a problem, but you're trying to solve a problem not necessarily with the right resources or the right understanding. So there are also reasons. It's also why marketing keeps resetting. So each time you adjust something, the marketing and the message resets itself, which is absolutely what you don't want, because that's where you're going to get an energy leak. And as I said, it doesn't fix it. It puts you into overwhelm, energy drain, confusion for your audience. If the core message isn't settled, producing more content just spreads uncertainty faster, and you actually start to move into exhaustion and burnout because you're just not getting it. In the AI world, better prompts, better decision. Prompting cannot replace structure, and it's why I'm a big anti-prompter. I would much rather people have conversations with AI rather than prompting. Prompting can just take you down a rabbit hole, and disjointed output, inconsistent messages, and absolutely no campaign coherence. The more stuff you put in that is not aligned, the more it's going to give you out, and that is dangerous. It's not a good place to be. And what people generally tend to do is, rather than slowing down, is that they try and get more visible. But again, you've got the if the message is wrong and it's off, and the marketing isn't all aligned, more visibility isn't going to help. Again, it's going to push you into overwhelm and burnout, and you just become part of the noise, particularly online. So what these 3 all have in common are: unclear message pushes people into more effort pushes you into burnout it basically creates inconsistent marketing, and then the cycle just continues and continues and continues until you have a proper methodology and a structure for a campaign, and actually acknowledging it as having a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's really difficult. You just move. I mean, I remember it well, is that I would just do one thing, didn't work. Next thing, didn't work. Next thing, didn't work. And that's because I had no structure. I had no clear beginning, middle, and an end. I was just constantly trying to see what would work. You know what they say, throwing spaghetti at the wall, and nothing's landing. So if more effort isn't the answer, the question becomes, where are the decisions being held and who is carrying them? This is where leadership and containment matter, not to do more, but to decide once and build from there. It's interesting when I think of leadership and containment, but you really do have to lead. You really do have to lead the campaign, which creates the containment. Without that, you're just flip-flopping with your marketing. It's deciding what holds the work. When marketing lacks containment, the load defaults to the founder. That's not capacity. It is a leadership issue in the sense that there's no containment, no framework. So I mentioned this earlier on about, ever feel drained after a launch, even if the results are good. even when nothing went wrong. The exhaustion is not from the work itself. It is really absolutely from carrying everything in your head.
You can add Penny or 4 others.
Oh, Penny, hello.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Hello, lovely. It's not the work, it's the load. Basically, you are acting as an entire team, but I think you don't realize that you're acting as an entire team. The exhaustion doesn't come from the effort, it comes from what's happening in your head mentally. Too many decisions, too many roles, just too much held. Or if you think about it, when you run a marketing campaign, you're acting as a marketing manager, a brand specialist, content creation, relationship holder, CEO. And again, that is just the tip of the iceberg. It really depends on what type of campaign it is that you're running, to how many different roles that you are stepping into. And we just naturally tend to do it because we like to sort things out in a business. We like to sort things out for other people. We are natural. Let's get my head around this and do it. But that comes at a cost. It absolutely comes at a cost, I think, to your emotional and mental well-being. And I think you have to be really careful, because no containment, no structure means that there are just lots of open loops within inside the business. We go back to the constant tweaking, no clear endpoints, a lot of ongoing mental noise. You will find as well that some people will do a campaign and they'll never do it again because it's just completely wiped them out and they've been completely exhausted by it all. Without campaigns, everything is just noise. Nothing is on point, nothing connects, nothing leads people on a journey. And what you really want to do is to take people on a journey. You may not get it right every time, but you can adjust it for the next time. But what you want to do is take people on a journey, and you want to help your brain out by not making it switch between so many different roles. A lot of people think they'll feel calmer once they're more confident or more certain. That doesn't happen. But marketing is never certain. It is a bit unpredictable. Freedom comes from structure, not certainty. Absolutely. The containment is what allows complexity without overwhelming you. It's really thinking about each part of the campaign having its own journey, but also having a very clear beginning, a middle, and an end, where everything connects. As I said, it's not a training issue. It's not a motivation issue. So what we want to look at is one repeatable campaign. Now, a campaign has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Not consistent activity, a defined cycle you can return to. So you can run it once, and then you can see what was working, what wasn't working. You can tweak things, you can make it better. So what I generally tend to do is set up a campaign. I run it, and then the next time I run it, I add on other things to it, or I sharpen things that weren't necessarily, I wasn't happy with, and I'll drop something that doesn't work. So you can return to it, but the baseline of it is there. And this is where ultimately marketing stops. It stops living in your head. Once you've finished that specific piece of work, you can close it off. You can hand it off to whoever it is that you need to hand it off to. You need to have one clear offer, one clear outcome, one campaign, and a clear beginning, middle, and an end. I know I'm repeating the beginning, the middle, end, but it's really, really important. Otherwise, you can't measure it. You can't see what's working and what's not working. Until this is decided, marketing can't settle. This decision alone removes huge amounts of. I've got noise, but for me, it's mental. It's cognitive. It gets very heavy for me if I'm not careful. The first thing you want to do, I always say, work backwards. I think one of my slides is the wrong way around. Ultimately, what you should do is identify what the offer is. What is it that you want to be marketing? Now, I'm a big believer, I never used to be, in planning. And I like to plan in quarters. So what am I marketing in quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4? That is really, really important. Otherwise, what happens is your marketing just never ends. But if you have a solid campaign every quarter, it makes life a lot easier because, again, you've got a clear beginning, in middle, and end contained within a quarter. So start with your year and then whittle it down into the 4 quarters. And then what campaign have you got in each quarter? It'll make your life so much easier if you do that. Makes it more measurable, you get better results, you can rinse and repeat. You're not in this constant loop of trying to juggle all the balls with your marketing. So first should be identify the offer. Next, put a time and a date in your diary. So set the window and start working backwards. You've got a clear endpoint that you're working towards. You know exactly what the offer is that you're going to be marketing. You do not want to have multiple offers running at the same time. It is way, way too confusing for everybody. They will never get a hold of what it is that you are trying to, sell. Was this a slide that was meant to go before? So then, sorry, I'm just talking to myself. And then you want to decide. So you've got the offer, you've got the times, you want to decide what your marketing channels are. What are your strategies, marketing strategies? I always say, if you're starting off with a new campaign, is you should not have any more than 3. And even 3 is quite a lot. When you realize how many moving parts are in each part, as I said, partnerships earlier on has got it's a whole piece of work within its own right. So you need to think about, I would say, no more than 3 channels. And then you can add on if you want to and remove one if you want to. But if you do any more than that, you are going to be significantly overwhelmed with the amount of work and the amount of juggling balls it is that you have to do. Now, once you have those goalposts in place and you have created your, you know what channels it is that you're going to be using, you can then think about the assets that you need to create around those channels. What is the strategy that you're going to use to promote that service? So if we take what I've just done, for example, I'm doing a masterclass, which is leading into a half-day paid event, which teaches people how to create their own marketing strategies. So I've gone webinar. Before that, what am I going to do to get people into the webinar? I've got partnerships. I did a little bit of email marketing, not very much, and I did a little bit of social media. But I actually put my main focus on partnerships because this is a completely new campaign which I haven't run before. You've got to be a bit careful because if you're running a campaign for the first time, if you're experienced, it depends on how you work. If you're experienced, you can push it a little bit. So I know that I can run a webinar and I can create the masterclass very quickly. So what I've done is I've given myself 2 weeks between this event and then another 2 weeks before I actually run the masterclass. So you really need to think out which moving parts it is that you want to focus on, and focus on the ones that play to your strength. I absolutely recommend partnership. Most people who have signed up for this event have all come recommended from people, my own clients, which is really, really cool. So we're working backwards. We're not thinking about what assets we're creating first. We're working backwards from what's the offer, when am I running it? And we work that way rather than working forward. So structure removes wasted effort. You know the method, you know the moving parts, you know the timings. And this is where things start to calm down because you can start to plan rather than spinning the plates and thinking that last minute, this is what you need to be doing. You can stop the guessing. Everything connects because you've been working backwards. So messaging comes after structure, not before. I often see people doing the messaging first, but you can't do the messaging first. The offer has to be first, and the messaging comes from the offer. Otherwise, it is going to be out of alignment. Structure comes first. The sequence is clear. The journey is defined. Second guessing reduces. So you decide the offer, you set the time, you think about the assets you're creating, you think about the marketing strategies that you need to do, you look at the messaging, and then I have a personal rule whereby I will never create anything unless I've sold it. So I have a good idea of the product and the service that I want to create. And this won't suit everybody. This will throw some people into a bit of panic. Some people will be fine, and some people will be like, oh, no, can't do that. Depends on the product and service that you're doing this well. But I have a golden rule is that I never create anything until I have sold it. But I have a very clear vision in my head of what it is that I'm delivering. So you have to feel confident at doing that. But ultimately, what you want is a repeatable campaign that actually looks like that one decision, one clear sequence, one defined window. So for me, it was the masterclass leading into the training that I'm going to be running. That 2-week window also gives me enough space to reach out to other people. It gives me a bit of a time to play with rather than a week later. If I set it at 2 weeks later, there are other things that I can now, another space that I can move into after this initial marketing has been done. So as I said, for me, I focused in on partners, email, and social media. And this is where it's sort of where it gets heavy and why you need to be careful when you're running a campaign and you don't want to do too many things. You've really got to give your full attention in on one of them. As I said, partners, it's got a lot of moving parts and you may not necessarily feel that confident at reaching out to people and doing partnerships. So you have to think about, what is it that I'm comfortable at doing? What am I really good at doing? What do I love doing? Because wrapped within each one of these is asset creation. So for this webinar, I had to do a landing page, I had to do an email sequence, I've had to do partner packs. Haven't really focused too much on social media, but each part of the journey is quite a significant step. Because if you think about landing pages, you have to go through a process to create a landing page, which is a significant piece of work. It is a significant piece of work. So this is what I said earlier. This is like my golden rule. I never create anything before I sell it. When I sell it, I create it. When I know there's the interest, I will create it and I will work to create and deliver. This is my particular way of working. And the reason why I work this way is because I will have a really bad habit of getting stuck in creation. I love creating things. I love creating agents. I'm a bit obsessed with creating agents. I create so many that I don't think everybody can actually use them because I just create so many of them. So I do this so I don't get stuck in creation. Otherwise, you would find me just creating and not selling anything. So if I sell, I create. If I don't sell, I don't create. And what structure does, obviously, it means that you can reuse it. It frees up your energy. You have less reinvention, less being stuck in the wax of a candle. I always think of, if you create a really good campaign and you've got a candle burning bright. Most people get stuck in the wax of the candle, and they're like, they're like really sort of like stuck trying to market really hard. A campaign puts you in the flame of the candle, burning bright. Message is very clear. You look good. You don't look exhausted, like a lot of people who are doing. Like a lot of people who are running campaigns. So how I do it is by using AI agents as a strategic team. Now, if you don't know what an AI agent is, ChatGPT is my preferred platform. And the reason why I use ChatGPT is because the agents can actually talk to one another. You can use them together. You can't do that in any other platform that I am aware of. If you know something different, let me know. I don't want to get that wrong. It's important that the agents can talk to one another. So what an agent is, it is a GPT. So think of it of a bot isn't sophisticated enough terminology. It is a piece of software that fulfills a specific role. So you can train an agent to take on the role of a CEO. Now, it's not as straightforward as just going, I want a CEO and then popping that into ChatGPT. There's a whole framework that sits behind that. But ultimately, you can create personas that fulfill a specific task. Now, I love this picture. I know Lisa is online somewhere, but we in our community, I posted a little. I know I said I don't like prompts, but this is a prompt. A little prompt saying, create an image of what our relationship is like with AI. And this just is beautiful to me, because this just is the essence of Empower AI. It's like we've got all these little agents around us that are fulfilling specific tasks. So thanks for that, Lisa. I really appreciate it. Structure slows what decisions need to be made, but someone still has to hold them. Ultimately, that is you. This is where most founders get stuck. Again, AI agents allow decisions to live outside of your head. And what I mean by that is that when you are using an agent, you're having a conversation, let's just say with a marketing manager who's helping you with this campaign. You're able to get your ideas out and have a two-way conversation around what it is that you're thinking and what it is that you're doing, which then aligns with the full campaign. So it's a team of agents that support you through a process, rather than you personally acting as the CEO, the marketing manager, the creation of the offer, the landing page, all of the different skills that you need to do that, which you probably are not very good at, to be fair, because you haven't been trained in those modalities. But with agents, I've trained them to fit specific roles to help people to create campaigns. And I have been repeating this for the last year and a half, I think it is. So AI amplifies what's already there. So if you put in crap, it's going to give you crap. If you think about things in terms of the context of a campaign, you've got a very clear structure. So chaos in, chaos out. Perfect. When people say AI makes things worse, I absolutely believe them. And that's because people are prompting rather than using it strategically with agents, and agents that have been created to fulfill specific roles. So what they're doing doesn't necessarily have any structure. So without a repeatable campaign structure, AI will just accelerate what is broken. Absolutely. Inconsistent messaging, no clear process, more output. You think it's good. And also there's no stress testing on what it is that you're doing. One of the things that we do is I created, some prompts, dare I say, that will analyze what it is that you have written, the program it is that you've created, the landing page it is that you've created, and it will tell you exactly where the blind spots are, so you can fix it. So if you don't have those types of structure in place, you can be absolutely creating a campaign that is completely off point, and you wouldn't be any of the wiser. So I think a number of you know also Georgina as well. She is a lifetime member. She's basically been using the agents, and they've helped her to clarify her thinking around marketing and business development. They've saved her a huge amount of time, money as a solopreneur. And also, I can't say the word, neurodivergent. Such a terrible word, I don't know. It really helps her to get crystal clear clarity on what it is that she wants to achieve and what it is that she wants to do. I think she has ADHD. She won't mind me saying this because this is her area of expertise. She has ADHD, I think, and she gets pulled into all sorts of things and goes down rabbit holes. So it helps her to really contain that and pull it out. AI as a tool versus AI as a strategic team. Most people use AI as a tool for output. Campaigns, it's not going to help you to run a campaign. They're not a decision because it's not a decision problem. Output versus thinking, speed versus direction. Speed without decision just creates more noise. So you have to have a clear framework that you are working within. And agents are brilliant because they give you a framework. Well, think about it. When you're using a large language model, so like ChatGPT, you put in a question, and you're just using chat. It's using the whole of its knowledge bank. When you create an agent, it's using a very specific knowledge bank. It's much smaller, it's much tighter, it's niched, it's on point. But if you just are using AI to do a campaign, it's pulling in from everything, which isn't going to help you. It's not going to get the really great insight it is that you need. So as I said, I have created agents to fulfill specific role. So from branding, campaign planning, messaging and execution, CEO level decisions. And this is how you get the heaviness out of your head into a specific campaign so that you're not so overwhelmed. You get better results. It's designed once, has the right structure. You're not starting from scratch every time. You just reuse what works and you refine it as you come towards the end of the campaign. The thing is, if you start twiddling with your campaign massively when you are in it, you're not going to know what works and what doesn't work. So what AI replaces is, well, it helps you to create the strategy, helps you to create the messaging and copy. It helps you to design. Let me go on to another slide, actually, because I think there's a better. Here we go. So I have been using this process for the last year and a half, and I have analyzed it after each campaign, how much time and how much equivalent, if I bought services equivalent to the campaign that I was running now with Inside AI. These are the roles. This is from this campaign that I've just done. Brand strategist, marketing strategist, email copywriter, conversion copywriter, a curriculum learning designer, presentation strategist, brand. So all of these roles I have created with Inside AI. If I had hired these people, it used to be a consistent £6,000 per campaign I was doing. Now it's increased because there are some additional things. So brand and visuals I can do with Inside. So all of these visuals have been created by AI. So I haven't had to go and source graphics. I can do them with Inside AI. They are much more on point. So that's another expense that I've saved myself, rather than cheesy stock images, which are horrendous. So AI's got much better at art. But not only that, the time of finding people, the time of going backwards and forwards, and this is a lot of different people to work with. Whereas now I can just use AI to bring that strategy to together. So let's just flop. Oh, what's going on? Hey, oh, I don't know why it's doing that. It's jumping. Right. So I created this slider earlier, and I've been 2 months to show it on because it's really dodgy. I don't like it at all, but it is what it is. So these are the different types of agents it is that we're using around a campaign. CEO, marketing manager, offer archetype, Remy, who creates the message. Probably the most important one within this campaign is Remy, because Remy tells you exactly what your messaging is. And then everything, we start with Remy, and then we use the other agents, and Rowan we use for creating the copy. So assets aren't a problem, sequencing isn't a problem, decisions are closed, you've got a very clear beginning, a middle, and an end. You're not flip-flopping around with your ideas when it comes to marketing. What works, you do more of. What didn't, you just adjust, or you absolutely get rid of it. So you save yourself a significant amount of time. The relief really comes from just not holding everything in your head, not trying to do all of the different roles it takes to have a successful campaign. It's really about rinsing, repeating what's working, and not necessarily giving. When you've got a structure, a very beginning and an end, you're less likely to give up on the campaign. I see so many people that give up on campaigns because they're not getting the results it is that they want. So I think Lisa is on the call, and I think has
I'm
been
here. I am here, Wendy.
here. Lisa has been a member for the year, which is awesome. And she said that for the first time in running her business, she felt like she's finally on top of things, which is really, really cool. Is there anything else you want to add, Lise?
No, I mean, I concur with, I'm the sort of person who can go down a rabbit hole very, 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 very quickly. But I like having a team around me, albeit AI team. And I'm not totally self-reliant on the AI. I do like to put my spin on it, but the more you use it, the more it gets used to who I am. This photograph that you can see on the screen now, I created that on AI based on a photograph the person who'd done my branding had used as a stock image. I used the stock image, and then I used my picture and asked AI to create me something similar, but in my image. And this is what it came up with, and I was really pleased with that. So it's allowed me to do things that I wouldn't ordinarily do. I can get a brand photographer, but that takes time and cost. And when I think you're transitioning from one business to another, you need to be able to use all the assets you can without it costing you. I mean, I have invested in having the brand done for me. I didn't want, I'm not a creative. So I know Frank's on here. I've used an expert in branding. Obviously not Frank, it's my ex-husband, for any of you who want to know. It's not that Frank isn't brilliant, because he is. But then I've used that branding in AI to come up with images and use that brand color, that brand story, so that you've got it all going on. So sorry for rabbiting on, but I just think the agents are brilliant, particularly when you're a solopreneur.
Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate that. So if you don't want to be carrying your marketing campaigns alone in your head, which are just, they're just taking over your life basically, and you're exhausted by the end of the campaign, I have created what's called marketing by design. And what you'll be able to do is you will be able, so this is for one campaign, this is for one specific offer. But the process is the same for every offer, because the AI molds itself around the particular offer it is that you're creating. And Remy, the agent that you use first, is there to help you with the messaging, getting the messaging crystal clear for the marketing campaign. Everything else comes after that. If your messaging is off, everything else is just going to be off. And that's where people generally tend to give up, because they are not getting the results it is that they want. So this is about creating a clear marketing campaign. So you would already have to have an offer. You would want to, it might have been an offer that you have already tested in the market, that you've already done it, but you just want to tighten it up so you can make more sales. You're absolutely sick and tired of second guessing. You're doing campaigns, but they're just not going anywhere. They're really hard work, and they're just not working. You really want to reduce that decision fatigue it is that you've got playing out in your head. In the email, I'm not going to do hard sell on this. In the email that I sent out, there are two links. One is to the sales page, and one is to the application form. If you're already a Vortex Accelerator member, this is free. This is free for you because you're a member, and you get it free. You'll get it free when it's delivered. There are 8 spaces only. A number of spaces have already gone, but there are two containers. There's the we do the 3-hour training. The following week we have a 45-minute Q&A session. Oops, something moving around my leg. Hang on a second. That's a cat. I wasn't sure what it was. Yeah. So let me just pop across to the other side. So there are 2 offers. Basically, there's a live 3-hour workshop. And within that workshop, I'm not going to be teaching you what it is that you're going to be doing. We're going to go through it step by step. So we are going to, you'll know what the offer is. We are going to use Remy to create the messaging. We're going to identify the 3 different marketing channels. And then we're going to break those 3 different marketing channels, and it'll be different. There'll be some crossover, but it'll be different. There'll be some people doing one thing and some people doing another thing. We will break down all the moving parts within that campaign. So as I said, I'm just picking on partnerships because that's what I did this time. So inside partnerships, we'll identify who it is that you're reaching out to, what the the sequence of events it is that you need to go through, that you need to tick off and work on for that campaign. You'll get access to the 5 agencies it is that I have used to do this campaign for 2 weeks. If you are at the if you're on the first tier, and you will come away with your messaging, what exactly it is that you need to be focusing in on to create that campaign. The second level up is where you have the opportunity to join the Vortex Accelerator. And that's where you'll get more support. You will be able to get access to all of the agents for 6 months. So they're very different. One is like, if you're not quite sure, you would go for the first offer and then you would upgrade into the second offer. But if you already know that's what it is that you want to do, you can just jump on board for the Vortex Accelerator, which is where you get a lot more support. But as I said, it's all in that document. I'm not going to go into the hard sell here, but you'll get a repeatable campaign structure, a message that is absolutely crystal clear and on point. So decisions are no longer going to be carried in your head. It's not going to feel heavy. You're going to get something that you can rinse and repeat. So let me just jump across and see if anyone, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I realize how quickly I've been talking. Share, stop share. Okay, cool. So does anyone have any questions? So many lovely people. Lovely people. I think I almost know everybody. Wow. It's lovely to have you all here. I hope that wasn't I hope I didn't babble on too much. I hope it made sense. So if anyone's got any questions, someone must have a question.
You answered mine. I had a question, but you answered it.
Okay.
I think you covered everything. But it's brilliant, really, really insightful.
Yeah,
Love
very
it.
good, Wendy. Really good.
You're
So,
too good. That's why we've got no questions.
Wendy, can I just ask to get on this program on the 17th of Feb?
Yeah.
Did you say there's an application process?
No, you're fine. You're fine, Lisa, because you're already a client, so you're fine.
So do I just let you know I want to come on it then?
I know enough about your business. You're okay. So Helen, you're all right. Lisa, you're okay. Lorna, you're okay. Sarah, you're okay. Penny, you're okay. It's lovely to have so many clients here. Hello.
Does that mean we're okay to come on, or we're okay? Yeah.
No, you're okay to come on. You're fine.
Okay, that's fine. That's good.
Someone, come on. Someone give me a question, please.
Okay, Wendy, I am going to ask you a question.
Okay.
So I like to use projects because it keeps everything in order in my brain. I have a list of things that I'm doing. Now, I am right in saying that you can bring agents into projects because I have done that.
Yep.
But this is where I need just a little bit of clarification. When I've introduced an agent into a project, so let's say I've introduced Buzz because I'm doing something on social media, then it doesn't stop in the project. It sets up sets up another conversation, another chat.
The workaround for that is that when you use a project, you can't use an agent straight away. You have to have a little bit of a conversation and then bring the agent in, because what I find is that it does what you said, is it goes back down into a normal chat. So you have to start the conversation and then bring the agent in.
Okay, that's brilliant. That's great, because what I've ended up doing is I've gone into, the little 3 dots and it says move to a project. So I've moved it across to a project, but then it seems disorientated. So I need to have the chat, do what I'm doing, and then bring the agent in. And that should then sit within that project.
Yeah.
Lovely, Wendy. You've answered my question. Thank you.
Who else has got a question? Pop on in. I can't see everybody.
Agent is just another word for a custom GPT.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm not going mad.
The links in the email don't work. Oh, okay. I'll check those. I will check them and resend them out.
I'll tell you what's funny, Wendy, and this is just an aside, it's not a question. When you start referring to the agents, and I'll say, oh yeah, I've had a chat to Lucas about that. I'm thinking, who the hell is Lucas? And then I have to explain who Lucas is. So I just find it funny, but it's good.
Quick question for you, Wendy.
Yeah, hiya.
In terms of the agents, we'd separately subscribe to ChatGPT, the paid for version. Is that right?
You can use them on the free version, but you will be limited by how much you can use them. So you'll be able to use them, and then you'll have to wait 5 hours or something. So I've put the sales page and I've put the application form in the chat box if anyone wants to get hold of it.
Yeah, they're the ones that aren't working, Wendy. It says your domain's not working. So if you click on them, it's a parked domain.
Yeah.
Who's Wendy Hill?
Do you know?
Oh.
Don't know, but it's in. That's where it's sending us instead of to your pages.
That's very bizarre. I've no idea who Wendy Hill is. That's not very helpful. Let me just get it here while I'm here. Thanks for that, guys. Yes, so you can use it, but you'll be limited. But the thing is, I shouldn't really bang it right. That's the sales page. Within the sales page, you will get the see a penny. You will get the. I hope your launch is going okay. Oh, she's gone. You'll get
That's
the link.
great. That one works.
Yeah, you'll get the link to the application form. I don't know how I missed that. Wendy Hill.
Some infiltrator.
Yeah, how that's happened because I did well anyway. Anyone got a question? Lorna, it must be late for you or early. No? No.
I'd just like to say that working with you, Wendy, and working with the agents, because I'm not at all techie, and I thought, oh, this is going to be difficult, Chat GPT and all that. And it's actually really, really easy, very, very easy. And having because I'm part of Vortex, having those agents there all the time, it gives you a lot more confidence in your business because you can bounce ideas off the agents and ask them, what am I missing, which you aren't able to see. So I've found it really, really useful. And Wendy's also helped me create an AI agentic agent that is a companion to my book, which I have had a lot of feedback from now and is really, really helping people. So just wanted to drop that in there.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. I appreciate that. Yeah. The book agents are incredible. The book agents are really quite something. You know, turning someone's book into, it's like having the author equivalent in your pocket, which is great. Okay, so if no one's got any other questions, I will love and leave you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thanks, Wendy.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Wendy.
See you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Fabulous
Bye.
as ever. Take care.
Bye.